Hello everyone. My name is Nimit Jain, and I'm the events head of CFDHMR IT. About the today's event, we have with us our speaker from the UK. His name is Mr. Praveen Kumar. He is a lead software developer in a company called Vertica, and he has an experience of over 12 years. Let's have him. Sir, can you please turn on your camera?
Hi everyone, my name is Praveen Kumar. I'm originally from Chennai, India, and currently living and working in the UK, in London, for one of the top two banks in the UK.
From the beginning, how did you start coding, and who introduced you to coding?
So basically, a couple of years ago, when I was studying in my sixth standard back in India, I was introduced to coding by one of my neighbors. His name is Bhaskar Uncle, and everything, whatever I have got to this level, I would say the one single meeting from him. So that was the real reason, and he introduced to me something called as Visual Basic 6. So it was back in something like 1998 or something like that, and it was VB6. I guess it was 1999, and he gave me this book called as Learn Visual Basic 6 in Record Time by Steve Brown, and it was one of the best life-changing books for me, and I picked up coding from that time. For the past 6 or 7 years, I've been more into MERN-Stack. It's MySQL, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. I'm working on those things.
So that concludes my first question. So moving on, we have a question from the chat that how do you gather motivation when you just want to give up? So this is faced by a lot of new programmers who get stuck in a problem, or who are just creating an application and get stuck at a level. Or
it's not just them, it includes me as well. So the problem here is people tend to get easily broken down. Just try starting, obviously if you want to if you want to build a whole Empire State Building, or say LIC building or something like that, you have to start from the basics. So start brick by brick and then build the whole thing. So in case if you find it like so huge, it's not working out for me or something like that, take a small part of it.
So how did you decide to pursue Masters UK specific out of all the places in the world? So you have done Masters from Leicester University, right? So tell us a bit about that.
Basically, I don't like the culture there. So I just left the idea of I don't even wanted to go to that country even for like a week or two. So that was the thing 10 years ago for me, when I was trying to think of what should I do. So it was that time I wanted to go badly out of India, and basically for some reason I saw that all the British movies and the way British been represented now versus then, all those things were really good, and I found that we in India, we use the left hand driving system the same way British also uses the left hand driving system. There are so many similarities between India and UK. So if you see let's say, what is the capital of UK? It is London. And what is representing London? It is the Big Ben Tower. It's the clock tower. So I come from Chennai. What is the thing that represents Chennai? It's again the clock tower that was built by British. So literally, I was just giving a friend of mine the pictures of London versus Chennai. So it was almost similar. So these kind of things were going on in my mind. And leave all those things. Let's come to my profile. I hate writing exams. At least the MCQ entrance exams, I completely hate it, because if I write one exams, I'll definitely fail in that. So GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, nothing works out for me. So that's the main reason I was scared of all these entrance examinations. If you want to interview me however you want, however crazy interview it could be, I'll be able to crack the interview. But if you ask me to write a test on, let's say, English or something related to physics, chemistry, biology, physics is also okay. Physics, chemistry, something like that. Chemistry or maths, I'm completely zero about it. But I'm a huge fan of this person called Srinivasa Ramanujan. He's from India, who's the Indian mathematician who came to UK. And okay, that's another reason to love UK. So these are a lot of things were going on in my mind, and I saw UK scored a lot higher than the US. The best part in the ultimate thing is, I don't need to write any of the English exams or any of the entrance exams. All I required was to submit my 10th standard and 12th standard English marks, 75 and 78. They gave me an unconditional offer letter, which US university is going to give you. And on top of all these things, they gave me 3.5 lakhs worth scholarship back in those days, like 2013. Right now it is 6.5 lakhs.
Wow.
Who would like to, like, there is no reason for me to like switch to US. So that's the reason. The problem with our students is they are not aware of these things. So literally, if I try to share my screen or something like that, it shows post disabled. But yeah, if you see the University of Leicester's website and almost all the British universities' website, you don't require to give any of the entrance examinations.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I'll just request all the viewers that are currently watching our stream right now. So if you really want to study further in the UK or US or any other country, just be aware.
Contact me.
Yeah, just contact sir. So he's a very good personal and a career coach as well. He's a career coach and counselor as well. So you can reach out to him on LinkedIn and you can have a chat with him about what should be done, and he'll properly guide you. So
Definitely.
So coming to the next question. So what are the pros and cons of living in the UK? That's the major part of our discussion today. What are the cons basically? You seem to be really excited about living in the UK, and you have shared a lot of the pros till now. So we would like to hear about the other part of the coin from you right now.
Okay, I'll start with the pros. Or should I start with the cons?
Yeah, you can start with any as you like. Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah, you should start with the pros. Focus on the positives.
Okay. So, pros, the companies in the UK, they said they respected me. First thing, they respected whatever I said, whatever I wanted. And then they gave me the right environment, the right product, or like the right project where I can put forward my skills. So the first thing is I'm skilled in a couple of things. They said, go ahead with this project where you will be able to work on this because you are in your comfort zone. First thing, that is something which I can work with myself. Second thing, since I am working at the place where I know what I am doing, I can work efficiently. Third thing, I will also learn other things simultaneously and make myself more stronger. So these are the things that the UK based companies, they tried giving me, and so there you go. So that's exactly what happened, and that particular respect was not there in India. And apart from that, obviously salary, definitely this is not something to complain, because there is something called as purchase power parity. So back in India, the Lay's packet will cost you 10 rupees. The same Lay's packet will cost me here 150 rupees. That is because the people are able to spend 150 rupees for a Lay's packet. They are raising the prices. So as simple as that. Next thing is obviously the privacy, a lot of things. Climate, I like the climate here, not this climate. It is raining heavily. Sorry about that. But otherwise, yeah, the 3 months of summer, it is extremely good. Obviously, the salaries are higher.
So every coin has two sides. So we should have at least some part in the con section also. So what you don't like about living and working in the UK?
Working in the UK, I don't have any. Let me think. It's a very hard question, dude. There's nothing that I don't like about working in the UK. There is literally nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me still try hard. No.
Maybe
not a single thing.
Maybe the work culture or the number of working hours or something like that.
Everything is good.
Everything is good. Okay.
No complaints.
Fine. And living in the UK, basically far from your family.
Yep. So the only disadvantages for me is number one, the food. Number two, my parents. I can't meet my parents and friends who are in India. And number one is obviously I don't get my South Indian foods. I'm a vegetarian as well. So nowadays, at least UK is turning into a vegan diet and other things. A lot of people are encouraging to go vegan and other things. So a lot of companies like, vegan culture is getting popularized nowadays. So I'm happy about that. But still, the costs are higher. Obviously, vegetarian costs are higher. Now it is becoming lesser and lesser as well. The only thing is, yes, the food and expenditure, and parents.
So tell us a bit about your Guinness record. So I've read on your LinkedIn that you have a Guinness record of the Microsoft App Fest. So tell us a bit about it.
So Microsoft App Fest had been what happened was it was in, let me check,
2016 or something?
2012. 2016 I was here. So it was Windows App Fest 2012. It is one of the certificate of achievement which I had, and it is indeed a record, Guinness record holder certificate, and it was created, it was given for all the participants who were participating and who were able to showcase their hacks on this Windows App Fest, Microsoft Windows App Fest, which happened in Bangalore in 2012 September, I believe. And yes, so that's exactly happened. I do have the certificate in front of me as well. Yeah, that's why I was able to tell the dates and stuff.
Yeah, exciting. So talking with you, I came across that you are a very good open source enthusiast as well. So any advice that you would like to give to all the students? Like students start very early in this age. So in this generation, students start very early in their 11th or 12th standard maybe about the open source contribution. So any word of advice for them? You would like?
One thing is awareness. Make sure whatever you learn the right way. So a lot of people go ahead with open source, and open source is life. Everything is good, but do you really know what open source is? What does it mean, etc.? So make sure you understand what exactly you are doing and do it. That's the only thing I would say.
So also some of the students in the chat are asking that since the placement season is coming in a couple of months, what advice would you like to give for the interview preparation tips? So you're a pro at interview, so let's hear some tips from you about what should be done in the interview.
Okay, I'm not sure about Indian interviews right now, but for UK interviews and general Western countries interviews, I'll give you a couple of tips. Okay. First thing, stay confident. Your confidence level speaks more than anything. Your attitude matters more than your knowledge, because knowledge can be, perceived, achieved, learned, trained, etc. But your attitude is what makes you who you are. So make sure you have the right attitude when you're trying to talk to people. Yeah, make sure you maintain the dignity or respect, give the respect and maintain the dignity, etc. And otherwise, your communication skills matter a lot. You don't need to have an accent to talk to people, but as long as whatever you talk is understandable to the other person, that alone is enough. And even if you stammer, just make sure that you are telling it in the right words. You put it in the right words. Think before you speak. So those kind of things will actually impress the interviewer. And just be on to the point. Don't write like a 16-mark answer. Just write a 2-mark answer. Try to say everything in 2-mark answer unless and until you have to explain it. So that will give a huge impression on you, because everyone values each other's time, right? So if you are able to give them the answer within the amount of time, that's easier. Unless and until you are beating around the bush and trying to convince for something that you are not able to convince them, that is completely fine. And apart from that, know what you're going to talk. So if you're telling something, try to tell with the confidence that you are the right person to do this. You know what you're trying to write, what you're trying to say and stuff.
Okay. So here we have a question from Yash Sharma in the chat. Everyone is shifting to dynamic libraries like React.js, AngularJS. And so do you think only HTML, CSS and JavaScript will be valued in the future, or you definitely need to learn one of these?
As I said this before, obviously just having HTML, CSS and JavaScript will not be valued as much as if you know one of the things. Like for example, I just wanted to quote this particular thing. So back in those days, what is Chennai? It is the smallest region which has these particular things. Then going further, it became the area that is surrounding those areas also Chennai. And now if you see the nearest, there is something called as a Kanchipuram district. Everything is coming under Chennai's administration. So similarly, what happens right now is, back in those days, if you just know HTML and CSS and JavaScript, you are a front-end developer. Right now, you need to know at least one of the CSS frameworks, one of the JavaScript frameworks like Angular or Vue, or JavaScript library like jQuery or React. And then you might need to know some of the DevOps, GitHub, and then you need to know at least one of the backend programming languages. For example, something like Node.js, Ruby on Rails, Python, something like that, or Java, J2EE, something like that. So the scope is always getting wider and wider, and that is something which people always try to like it keeps on going increase. So instead of thinking of whether this whatever I know is going to be valued, try to increase your skill set, try to increase your skill reach, so that whenever you go to any of the anyone who is trying to interview you, you can say, see, yes, I started with this and I know this and I keep on learning on top of it. No one will ignore you.
Yeah, definitely. So the learning phase should always be there in your life. So keep learning about new stuff. So also, I would like to add that keep upgrading your technologies. So what was valid back in 1998, so might not be valid right now. So some things are really popular, like C++ language, something like that. They're really valid today as well. But there were many languages launched apart from C++ at that time, which were not very popular. So you constantly need to upgrade your tech stack, and you'll be fine with this. You'll be fine. Okay. So, what else do we have? Okay, some of the key factors that you want to share with the young college students who have just started programming and want to make their careers in this field before we end this session. So we have come to an end. So before wrapping up this session, what would you like to advise the students?
I just wanted to answer this question from all rounder. Yeah. These big enterprises use Java, Spring Boot, and JSP. They don't ask for MERN or mean. So even right now, when I'm working with these big companies like big banks and financial institutes, they're all the backend built. The backend things are all built using Java, COBOL, .NET sometimes, because back in those days they have been built from like more than 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So these things, people are slowly changing into these things. So you might need to wait for some time. I know that this is a wrong time. So, but at the same time, try to stay confident. If you like JavaScript, stay with JavaScript. If you like Java, go to Java. So for example, if you even give me 1 crore per day, I won't touch a Java code. That's me. That's the conviction I have with me. There are 2 reasons for it. One, I hate Java. Another thing is I don't know much about working with Java. So I would be the wrongest choice by any chance.
What would you want to advise to someone who has just started programming? So a lot of people in our college are there in the first year or maybe the second year who just want to start programming and are not yet introduced to this field. So they just got an admission because of maybe any reason, because of they like engineering or something, and have taken admission in computer. So how should they build their interest in this field, and how should they start programming? How should they approach the different kind of resources available? What should they do right now?
Okay, first thing is to start with programming, there is a lot of nice websites that you can see. There is something called as roadmap.sh, where it will tell you what exactly you need to do for becoming a full stack developer or a front end developer, back end developer, React developer, DevOps person or something like that. And apart from these things, first understand and identify which particular domain you want to go in. And so those kind of things are mainly important. Then either that, keep it in the parallel way, but at the same time try to understand what exactly that you love working with. So for example, you could be a front-end developer, you could be a graphic designer, stick with that. Try to if you want to learn something new, for example, my field, JavaScript is something that keeps on changing every single day. It is sometimes disappointing. It is sometimes depressing that I have to learn a new thing every single day. It is also sometimes exciting to see, oh wow, we can even do something like this and do something like so exciting and stuff like that. So these kind of things are supposed to be you have to make these things. And so that's something which we should go ahead and start small, try to achieve those things, keep the goals in smart way, scalable, measurable, achievable, relatable, whatever, tangible. Yeah. So have the have the smart goals with you. Yeah.
So I guess that's all from the session. So everybody just like him and do comment. We'll be adding Praveen sir's link in the description below.
Don't forget to subscribe to that.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to Praveen sir's channel. He's an amazing content creator. He comes up with live streams where he comes up with different kinds of YouTube videos. You'll definitely gonna love their channel. And follow him on LinkedIn also. He's very active there also. So that's all from our side. We'll
just answering all the questions at this point, whoever has actually added. So job market in England, it is really bright at the moment for front-end developers, data scientists, and cloud computing specialists. And there are a lot of different roles there. The job market is really good. And learning full stack, machine learning, doing integration, is it good? You're doing more than what you want to do. So it is awesome, Bhargav. As a front-end developer, do we also need to learn fundamentals of UI and UX? I am a front-end developer for more than 15 years, and no, I don't know anything about UI and UX, so no idea. So I don't think that is required. And final question: without DSA, are there any companies in the UK? I never worked with DSA, but I have worked on different companies in the UK. So yes is the answer. Yeah.
Okay.